are you actually happy in the marriage or the relationship you're in? Or are you waiting to be in one because you think that you will only become whole once you have one? Do something that you love. There is no point in spending your life working if you have no idea why you are doing it and if you really, really fucking hate it. If you're worried about the fact that cost of living has gone up and you're looking at ways to save money instead of looking at ways to make more money, you're in a scarcity mindset. Getting your head out of the sand, what is your actual reality when it comes to your finances? That life that you want to design, what would it cost you to be living that life? Because until you know this, you are literally...
Welcome to Life by 8, your blueprint for designing your ultimate life. I'm Rebecca Grugan, your architect on this journey to building a life fully lived. Using our 8 Pillars to Human Wellness framework, we'll explore how to transform your everyday from ordinary to extraordinary. So let's go.
Today I want to talk to you about what I do and why I feel it is so important for people to actually design their dream life before they start a business. And if you're someone who's already started your business, starting to design your life now so that you can progressively move your business to work with it is the most important thing you can do. My goal as a life architect and the work I do with the clients is to help them design that life they desire and then create the blueprint to help them build the life that they want. And we take the LifeBait framework takes clients from where they are now to where they want to be. And what we do differently is we take them on an individualized journey. So from that blueprint, so understanding your energetic blueprint, exactly what is right for you, and then moving to build to that moment where you get to move into that dream life. And that dream that you once had now is your reality. And that blueprint must be unique to you. Just like your fingerprint. If you're building and designing a life based on external validation or what other people tell you to do, you're going to end up down the track at some point. It could be months down the track, it could be years, where you realize that you've been living a life that's not yours. And this happens for a lot of people who get married young. This happens for a lot of people who have children really young. It can be you've been married for 25 years and realize that you weren't living your life, you were living the life for your partner or your children. And so what can happen in some of the programs and offerings is that people are given a cookie cutter approach. You see, a cookie cutter approach is scalable in the old reality. It's how you make more money, right? If you can make it easier and scalable and just deliver the same thing for everybody else, then great. You put in less effort, you make more money. The one-size-fits-all approach to the masses. However, if the education system is anything to go by, we've realized that's no longer possible. You know, when you hit the middle, when you aim as a teacher for the middle of the class, those who are ahead and advanced get left, to work it out themselves. And those who are behind get further behind. What is possible, and what is possible now with the AI disruption that's coming, is that we can actually scale, but with the individualized approach. And so what's really important is for you to design your life before you design your business or the next level of your business, so that you are designing a life so you get to live it today the way that you want to, not have to fix it up later, or not get to 10 years down the track and realize that you are living at the office and your marriage is now struggling, or your kids don't even know who you are because you were never turned up to their games on the weekend. If you want to do that, and it's okay if you don't, start to design your life so that you can be doing the little things that you want, because it's the little things that actually matter in life. So an example of that is if you want to be able to pick your children up from school every day and them not go to after school care, then design your life and your business so that you can be there. If you don't want to work school holidays, how can you design your life so that you don't work in school holidays? And to give an example for me, I work 10 blocks 4 times a year. I don't work or run my group containers in school holidays. And the reason for that, it gives me the ability to contract, to go within and to recharge so that 10 weeks I can give everything I've got to everybody around me, not just my children and my husband, but also my clients. Because that's what I want. I want to be able to take my kids to, the basketball camp if that's what they want to do. I want to be able to go to the park. I want to be able to stay in pajamas all day if that's what they want. I may not be there all the time for them, I don't and have never lived for my children, but it's one thing that was a non-negotiable for me. And with one starting high school this year, it's also like I still want to be able to pick up and drop off. And so Paul and I have always designed our life to make sure that we've been able to do that. And that's been magic for us, right? Though for some people, they may never want to work weekends. Design your life so that that's possible for you. So why do I talk about designing your life before you build it or your business around it? Knowing your why and setting your intentions is powerful, because if you actually just build a business and it gets out of control because it's like it's the perfect timing, everybody wants that product and it scales really, really fast. If you do not know your why and you did not set your intentions, you can literally lose everything else. So you may gain, the business grows. This is when mental health and mental well-being and entrepreneurs and startups gets really, really affected, is because they forgot their why. They never set their intention from the beginning. Some people will say that they just want to help people, and that's great. But when you scale and when you grow and you put all of your focus onto everybody else, you don't look after yourself, long term, you actually end up helping less people because you don't have the health, mentally or physically or emotionally, to keep supporting people on that bigger scale. And on that bigger scale comes stronger expectations. And so many people are living life reactively rather than proactively and ending up in the places they don't want to be. And so when I speak to my clients and we talk about the 8-pillar framework, it's extremely important to know that, yes, you can focus on your occupation. You can put all of your hours at that season in your life into your business, great. And though, if you don't actually focus on your relationship, if you don't focus on your physical health, if you don't pay attention to where your finances are going, everything else will struggle. Everything else will end up being fires you have to put out later. And so the 8-pillar framework allows you to look at everything holistically. And yes, you could put more focus on strengthening one pillar at a time, though you can't forget the others. And remember that foundation of your nervous system regulation and your ability to communicate. Without those two things, everything falls down. And so when you design your life first, you get to then see how you build a business based off of those things that you want, those intentions that you set. So it might be to be mortgage free. It might be to build a house. It might be to travel anywhere in the world. It could be so that your children can go to a certain school. It could be so that your husband and yourself or your partner can work together from home. There are so many different ways to design a life. And so for you, what I want you to know is you get to choose what you want. What do you want your life to be? If you were able to dream big and then to start intentionally living your life and making decisions proactively rather than reactively, as in putting a fire out, putting a fire out, putting a fire out, what would that look like for you? How big would you dream? What would be possible for you? Because anything is actually possible. Right now, you might not believe that, and that's okay, right? You're in the right place. So if I was working and earning X amount of money, so let's just say everybody's talking about 6 or 7 figures at the moment. So let's say you're going for $1 million business, but you never see your children, but you want to see your children. How happy do you think you're going to be when you get that $1 million? Right? It is also okay to want the $1 million and to not really see your children, because sometimes children can be boring. I know, truth. The thing is, it's if you want to. Everything is energy. It is not just about the financial returns. If you are going for that $1 million and you never see your children and your wife wants to leave you because she says you're never home, what do you expect? You need to be intentional with your resources, all of them. Money, your physical energy, your love, your joy, continuous learning, all of it. Time is the only thing you cannot get back. You cannot buy it. You can collapse time by paying for people and coaches to teach you things so that you don't have to go through that. So yes, you can collapse time in those ways, right? And maybe sometimes that looks like buying time. But you can't get that time back with your children. That time that you miss with them, the time that you don't put into your partnership. And you could justify it all you want. But if they're things that you really at the core of your being want, then put it first and design everything else around it, because it's totally doable and totally possible. The team at Sufficient Funds, they're financial advisors that I use personally, but have worked with us on our financial pillar for our clients and the content that we do. What they do, what I love about them and why their rapid growth and expansion has happened is because they actually do financial planning around, you have to design your life first, and then they'll reverse engineer what that looks like, right? So instead of just waiting for 65 to live your life and retire, they work back from what do you want now? And they will really, really be honest with you and tell you this is what's possible, this is what's not, right? Some people don't want to use the word sacrifice and everything. You can have it all, and you can though. What are you willing to do to have it all? So you can either sacrifice or do more to get it all. But to just wish it and manifest it and put it on a vision board doesn't mean it's going to happen without doing more or sacrificing something. So what is the point in working if you don't know why you are working? There are so many clients that I work with, so many people in our community that I have conversations with that have a job that they're just doing because somebody in their family told them they should go and study that, or they thought that being a nurse would mean that they could be there for their kids more often, or that they could be a teacher so they could have school holidays off, not realizing that teachers actually work a buckload in school holidays. You know, do something that you love, because there is no point in spending your life working if you have no idea why you are doing it and if you really, really fucking hate it. I'm not someone who's going to advocate for you to go and just quit a job because you hate it and then try to make something else work. Be smart in it. Make a plan and start taking action towards the life that you want. And the thing is, right, if everything's energy, if you're looking at something negatively, it has to have a positive. Like it actually has to. So you might say you hate your job and you hate your boss. Negative energy, right? So if there's negative energy there, what is the positive? Because it has to actually be there. And you have to be willing to see it in all areas of your life. And so one of the things that I do with a lot of my business clients is I get them to go back all the way to their childhood. All the things that they loved to do, all the things they hated, all the subjects they loved at school, all the things they hated, all the jobs they've ever had and the tasks in those jobs that they loved and in those jobs they hated. Go back and reflect on all of those things. And if you only see something as negative, look for the positive. And if you only see the positive, what was the negative? Because what it starts to do is help you make sense that everything has both. And you get to change your perspective and choose something different. And so an example that it comes down to when I talk about designing your life, right, and we speak about our skill sets as individuals and the value we have, the value that we bring to the world. So not self-worth, this is your external worth, your external value. So let's say that you you are a consultant of some type. It could be, you could do lots of different things, but say that you get paid $300 an hour in the work that you do. And so what would it make sense, or why would it make sense for you to, if you hate it, clean your house when you could pay a cleaner $45 an hour while you earn $300 in that hour? Like, this is a time investment, right? There's a lot of people who will try to DIY stuff. Fuck, I used to be one of them. And I'm actually in the middle of, with one of my centres, doing the biggest investment that I've ever put in. We're getting the whole playground renovated. And I am not touching, I haven't even gone there since they started. And if I was just to wind back 6 years, I was DIYing playgrounds in the long weekends and over the Easter 4 days. Easter 4 days would roll around and my husband would be just like, all right, what are we doing? Because he knew that a big project was coming. I was also known for these block weekends where you'd go into a centre and you'd transform it, and by the Monday it would open as completely transformed. And cool, in that moment, in that part, in that chapter of my life, I thought that I had to DIY because I didn't have enough resources to do it. But over the years, as I've learnt, when you actually start to pay people who are experts in what they do in every day and that they love it, you get a longer term investment. So it might feel like a financial investment, i.e. getting a coach or paying Vibes Creative to do your content, right? It's an investment, but it's their skill set and it's what they love to do. And what it ends up allowing for me is to deliver my skill set and what I'm great at and do more of that. And by doing that, what I get back is I get time. I get that time freedom that everybody talks about that they're chasing. And not only that, I also then get to live in my zone of genius, which means I live in an energy-rich state more often. And so those points in your life where you get to feel like everything's in flow, like everything's magical, everything that you want is happening. For me, a flow zone is when I'm creating, when I'm painting. I can paint for hours and forget to go to the bathroom and forget to eat, and it all just happens, right? It's flow. When you live in your zone of genius and when you have time freedom, you get to be in this space more often. This is an energy-rich state, which I talk about in all the energetics work that I do. And so when you are designing your life, where in your life are there things that you hate to do? Great. You can look for the positive if at the moment it's not something that you could outsource. But if it's something that you could use a resource, so whether that's cash, or how I started when I started LifeBait at 17 was I did contra. I swapped a car for advertising. I swapped clothes for content creation. Whatever it is, everything is possible if you learn how to utilize resources, which is a values level 5 concept. So if you're not there, you might not be able to see it. Though, if you were to hire us as your coach or your life designer, I can definitely help you get there faster.
Hey, stop for a second. I know you're in the middle of building your life. If you want help with that, I can help you. Whether you join our Architect program where it's working with me one-on-one, or our Build group container, which absolutely has incredible value and will help you design and build that life faster. You can also join us to understand and design your energetic blueprint before there's a 1-day, 2-day event. You can join us there too. There is multiple different ways you can work with us at different investment points. We would love to have you there to help you get, design, and build the life that you want faster. You can see the links below. Feel free to reach out in any DM, in any social media platform. I would love to hear from you. Now, get back to building that life.
What I want to talk into now is how to start with your life design. So we speak about the 8-pillar framework, which we've done in previous episodes, and you can find all of that content on our website. So your nervous system is regulated, your communication skills are improving, and you've got this really strong base to build on. Then what I get clients to do is to rate your pillars 1 to 8. 1 being the one you've got your most shit together on, 8 being the one you feel like you're failing at. That gives us a starting point, right? Where your weakest pillars are is where you would start when it comes to life design. So for a lot of people, they might say that, 1, they've got their physical pillar together. A lot of people who go to the gym all the time, have great physiques and they're sleeping and they're eating nutritionally great, right? What they might not realize is that they're actually using that to avoid emotion, feeling, or their social pillar and their relationships. Because if everything's energy and we become obsessed about one thing and we forget about other things, there can be positives to that, but it can also be negative, right? So when you rate your pillars, you get to see really where your attention is going. And so then when you know your weakest ones, you can start to, what is the right next choice there? What do you need to do about your finances if that's your strongest one? Or your weakest one, I should say. So let's say it's finances, because for a lot of people in the world at the moment, scarcity feels like everybody's there. That is not true. Not everybody is, but it can feel like everybody is. And so if you're worried about inflation, if you're worried about the fact that cost of living has gone up, all of those sort of things, and you're looking at ways to save money instead of looking at ways to make more money, you're in a scarcity mindset. So let's say that your financial pillar is the weakest at the moment. What I love about the work that I followed with Gary Vee for so long, and then when he went into the Web3 world with NFTs and those sort of things, what I loved about it so much was his ability to get you to see outside of yourself and to see opportunity. Gary Vee talks about, you've probably got $1,500, $2,000 worth of stuff in your house that you could sell on Marketplace and turn things into capital. Most of us have excess. Most of us have things that we do not need. Like there's this meme going around at the moment, and it's like people walking around with their excess. So like, if they've got 20 handbags, they have to carry their 20 handbags at the time. If they've got 40 hats, they've got to wear the 40 hats on their head at the same time. And we start to really, if our overconsumption was shown, what would that mean for us? What would that look like for us? So if you're saying you've got no money right now, do you actually mean that you have no money? Like, do you have $0? Because your language creates your reality, right? So if you're saying you've got no money, it's almost the same as when women say, I have nothing in my wardrobe to wear when they have lots of stuff to wear. I know, again, another truth, right? So your reality creates, your language creates your reality. So getting real, getting your head out of the sand and what do you have? What is your actual reality when it comes to your finances? Knowing your net worth, because this is in another episode, I'll talk about self-worth. And so net worth is separate to your self-worth. So what is your assets versus your debts and what is your actual financial position? What does it cost to be you right now? And then what would it cost to live the life that you want, that life that you want to design? What would it cost you to be living that life? Because until you know this, you are literally driving blindfolded. You have to know where you are right now, because what it does universally, for the universe to co-create with you, is that you have a real idea of exactly where you are. It's not just a guess. It's not just a fucking hope and prayer. It's a reality check. And so when you know that, you get to step into your power instead of feeling disempowered. So you step into your power, you know exactly where you're at. The difference between the life that you want to live, cool. Now we know the gap. Because if you don't know the gap, how do you know what you have to do to get to be what you want to be? And also, to have the things that you want, you have to become the person that can have those things. So you have to know. So we get our clients to start there, right? If it's their physical, that's their financial pillar, which usually in the life design part is a big element of it because it is the main energy resource we use in society. But also, if you don't have your health, your physical health, you have nothing, right? So then the physical pillar is also something where we really start, because it's like if you're not sleeping, you are going to have no energy to do anything, and you're going to end up in a cycle, a loop, where you're drinking a shitload of coffee, yes, eating shit food and going through the drive-through because you don't have the energy or the time to cook the food that you need, which is going to mean that you don't have the energy to go to the gym or to move, and then you can have shit sleep again, and you're in a loop. It just keeps going around and around, and you justify it by, I'm in this season of life, I've got young children, or I'm building a business, or what have you. But without this, you will build less, and you'll go round and round, and you'll be utilizing your resources in ways that have less impact than if you look after this first, right? So financial pillar, you need to know where you are. You need to know the state of your health, because without this physical body being in its prime condition, you cannot serve long-term for others, because your emotional pillar starts to get fucked up because you physically are so tired and exhausted and scattered, your nervous system starts to come out of play. And we know your nervous system is in your foundation. And so if that's all starting to get scattered energy, you start to hold less. And your goal has been to hold more, right? So you see how all of a sudden you're not getting all these things that you want and desire, and then you start to blame others, and we end up in a cycle. So it's a reality check for yourself. So then you've got your emotional pillar. And so when it comes to life design, how are you feeling now versus how you want to feel? How close are you actually experiencing the emotions that you want? So this is all about lifting your frequency as well, because there's healthy emotions to feel. All of them are important, right? But you need to be living in a more positive frequency than the heavy and negative states, like, say, hate, resentment, jealousy, envy, all of those sort of things, fear. We want to be in joy, love, abundance more and more often, right? So these emotions, what's the reality of how you've been feeling more versus what you want to be and what this new version of you is in this life that you're designing? Then usually that'll lead us to social pillar. Are you actually happy in the marriage or the relationship you're in? If you're in one, or are you waiting to be in one because you think that you will only become whole once you have one? Right? This is a real reality check for a lot of people. Paul and I ask ourselves pretty much monthly, ask ourselves and each other, is this still the relationship that you want? What am I doing that you'd like me to do more of? And what am I doing less that you'd like me to do less of? More, less, I think that made sense, right? But what it is, it's a check-in. Because the thing is that we can get all romanticized about life and relationships and love. And it's great. Though maybe it's not what you actually want. Maybe you are holding each other back, right? Relationships don't have to end negatively. And also, relationships don't have to end. It's just becoming consciously aware of the situation you're in, where you are right now. Then, when you have that reality check, then we start to look at your friends. And then maybe it's your friends that you're going out with on Friday and Saturday nights that end up coaxing you to drink all the alcohol that you don't want to drink, but you do because it helps you fit in and everybody else is doing it, so you may as well, and you end up in the cycle again, right? The social pillar will affect your life in ways that you may not be aware of. And you can try to be against all the Stoics or against all the history of, the 5 people you hang around. Oh, no, not me. I'm not one of them. Cool. Keep doing the things you're doing. If it's working for you, great. But that social pillar, those people you spend your time with, or the people you don't spend your time with that you want to, this is really, really important when it comes to life design. And then we start to look at, soul pillar. We start to look at your environmental pillar, where the places and spaces you spend your time. Like, what is the state of your house? What is the state of your car, your vehicle? Is it getting you to places, or are you fearful of breaking down all the time? I remember getting this yellow Ford Falcon. Fuck, I don't even know where it came from. I must have paid like $1,000 for it. And I remember every time I would get in it, it would break down. And I never knew why, and I'd take it to mechanics, and I was pretty poor. I moved out of home at 16. And a year later, what it ended up being was this rubber band had been put into the fuel tank. And so every time after about an hour of driving, the rubber had expanded and would cover the fuel inlet. So fuel would stop going to the motor, so it would break down, right? But the quality of your environmental pillar, your places and spaces, it really fucking matters if every time you get in your car, you think you're going to break down. As a female, 17-year-old, you're pretty concerned about it, right? And so paying attention to both of those is really important when it comes to designing your life. Again, if you are living in shared accommodation, if you are living with people you don't want to be with, then that's going to affect everything else as well. So we go through all the 8 pillars when it comes to life design. Really, then we start to reverse engineer back from that goal that you have, that person you want to be, because you have to become the person who can hold all of that love, all of that joy, all of that money, all of that time. Yes, not just holding money. There's a reason why lotto winners statistically lose it all, because they do not have the capacity to hold all of that resource. There is the reason why a lot of people who have a lot of money end up getting divorced a lot or miserable and single, because they don't have the capacity to hold that much love. You have to become the person that can hold all of it. As you've seen, or as you've heard, we've gone through the life design process, right? And why the gap between where you are now and where you want to be is important. The reason that I talk about designing that life before you build a business is because so many people underestimate what it takes to build a business, how much work is required, how much time is required, how much all resources are required, right? And so if you are starting building that business from an energy deficit or energy neutral space, what do you think happens? Burnout, negativity, divorce, all the things that get you sliding back through your values levels. So the reason why life design is important is because you have more chance when you start from an energy rich state than you do if you are in energy deficit, because it requires so much in that contraction to build so that you can move forward. And so design your life first, then you've got a blueprint to build a business on. And that business is highly likely to be more successful if you've done it that way than in the reverse. So let me know what you think, and thanks for being here.
Thank you for joining me living life by 8. If this episode hit home, brought value to you in any way, I would love your support with a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And don't forget to subscribe on your favorite platform too. And don't let your journey end here. Connect with me and my community at Rebecca Grugan on all social platforms. I look forward to going deeper with you on your journey.